Hey guys, welcome to a new channel, Leaves and Lungs. We've been on a merry ride on plant breeding. So far we've been seeing various topics on plant breeding, and right now we're continuing the topic that we left yesterday. Okay, that is bulk method of plant breeding. Okay, we saw yesterday pedigree method, which is one of the method of breeding in self-pollinated crop. We also see another method that is bulk method. So we're going to see what is bulk method in detail. Okay, we'll just go into it. So bulk breeding, as the name itself suggests that the breeding is going to be done on a very huge scale or a mass scale. Okay, so hence the name is also referred to as mass method or population method of plant breeding, right? So this was first used by a scientist called as Nelson Ellie in 1908. Remember the name, it might come in MCQs also for various GK competitive quiz and all. Okay, so bulk breeding, so how the bulk breeding is being practiced. So the entire process is given in this small tabular box. Okay, so it is nothing but it is like a species grown in a bulk plot. The species may vary from generations from F1 to F5 with or without any selection, right? And then a part of the bulk seed is then used to grow the next generation, and the individual plant selection is practiced in later generation, right? So we'll just see what the entire definition of this bulk breeding is all about in the upcoming slides. Okay, so right now we'll just see that the bulk breeding is nothing but it's a species grown in bulk plot, having a generation like F1 to F5. So it just contains all the plants that belonging to 5 generations. So we'll just see the procedure for bulk method of breeding right now. Okay, so you always know that the initial cross is always between the two parents that the character you decide. Okay, so the first step is being hybridized, that is there is a crossing among between the selected parent plants. Okay, so this forms the first stage. Some hybridization has taken place in the first step itself, that is belong to F1. Okay, so in the F1 generation, what you're going to do with the F1 generation is the F1 seeds, that is 20 seeds of F1 seeds are being planted, and their bulk harvesting is carried out. Okay, so this is the second step actually. Okay, so having planted the F1 seeds and the bulk harvesting is being done, you'll get various kinds of plants like F2 to F6. Okay, so then F2 to F6 plants are being harvested or planted. Okay, so the number of parents should be as largely as possible. Usually artificial selection is not carried out right here. Okay, and then you have to continue till this F6 generation, and in the F7 generation you have to segregate the best possible varieties. That is, selection is carried out based upon the phenotype of this group. Okay, you have to just select all the plants from this group, and then you have to isolate like 1000 to 5000 selected varieties, and they are harvested separately. Okay, so it started with F1 generation having been yielding of F1 seeds, and with the F1 seeds you just developed a lot of thousands of plants to from F2 to F6 generation. In that F2 to F6 generation, you've been isolated like 1000 to 5000 in the seventh generation. Okay, so this is what all about the first phase. So after being isolated those 1000 and 5000 plants in the F7 generation, you're gonna filter out more in the F8 generation. Okay, so those 1000 and 5000 plants are being grown, and their progenies are being tested among these 5000 plants. Okay, so this individual plant progenies are grown, and the inferior progenies are being eliminated step by step. Okay, so the yield may the number may drop from 1000 to 5000 to it may fall under like 500. Okay, so among this 500, preliminary yield trials is done with the standard varieties as check. Okay, so the various parameters are being checked, like the disease resistance, their yield variety, everything is being checked compared with the standard varieties as their counterparts. Okay, so in the F10 to F13 generation, the performance or the evaluation is done. Okay, and finally in the 14th generation, the seeds are going to be get multiplied, and finally it is going to be distributed to the farmers. So it will take a hell lot of labor, it takes hell lot of time in you to finally give the best possible varieties to the farmers. Okay, so this is what how the procedure of the bulk method actually works out. Okay, so having seen the procedure, we'll just see the application. So what are the application of this bulk population method? Okay, so this method is very much suitable and most convenient for handling segregating generation of cereals, millets, grain, legumes, and oil seeds. Okay, so it is mainly used in these crops. Okay, and it is may also use it for some other purposes, that is like for isolation of homozygous lines, as like any other selection methods. And also it gives an opportunity for the selection. Okay, you can select what type of plant you want, what type of characters you need. Okay, and it also paves a way for natural selection to takes place uh, accordingly. Then these are the applications of the bulk population method. Okay, the main population is that it gives an opportunity for the farmers to select their own crop. So merits, as you know that it doesn't yield any complex procedure. It is very simple, convenient, and inexpensive. It can also induce artificial epiphytotic condition. Okay, so epiphytotic is nothing but it is like destroying a large number of plants in an area at the same time. Okay, you could have seen earlier in the slide, in the F8 generation, the progenies are being grown and they are being removed, they are being eliminated. Okay, so this is what actually epiphytotic condition actually means. Okay, so in the process you can remove all the undesirable or weaker genotypes. If the bulking period is longer, natural selection operates. As we seen in the merits itself, as we seen in the application itself, it paves the way for natural selection to operate. And no pedigree record is being maintained. Okay, pedigree record is actually very laborsome procedure, and you don't need to maintain a pedigree record here as well. Since a large population is grown, there is a chance of appearance of transgressive segregants. So as I said earlier in my topics, that transgressive segregance is nothing but plants with having extreme phenotypes. That is, plant which have high yield variety, high disease resistant, everything. Okay, so they which will be superior than the parent of F2. Okay, a demerit. Okay, so we have seen that the process of reading itself is very difficult for bulk method. Okay, the reading itself is this much long. Then think about the procedure that is going to take place on the field, right? So it takes too much time. That is, it takes much longer time to develop a new variety, because 14th generation is not an easy, it's very tiresome job actually. Whereas if the bulk method is of short term, there is no chance of natural selection. There is no way that natural selection gonna proceed if the bulking is going to be done in a short term. And also we're not gonna get any information on inheritance. It is very obvious, because no pedigree record is being maintained. Okay, and a large number of progenies are to be selected in each generation, which require much labor, time, space. Okay, so these are actually the demerits you could have written even without reading these slides. So having seen the bulking method, we'll just see some modification that it comes from the bulking method. So one method is actually the single seed descent method. So single seed descent method is nothing but a single seed from each of the F2 plant is collected, and it is bulked to raise F3 generation. Okay, so the plant and again F3 plant is collected and carried forward to raise F4 generation. This process is continued till F6 or F7 generation, right? So this is nothing but actually here a group of F2 plants actually. Okay, you should select only one plant, and you should develop all the varieties of F3. Okay, again you have to select F3, and you have to develop all the varieties of F4. This will continue till F6 or F7 generation. So this is nothing but a single seed descent method. Okay, so all the plants are being raised from a single seed. So the main features of this method is uh, there is lack of selection till F6 or F7. Okay, you know that the progenies are being raised till F7 generation. So after being like the 7th generation, the population almost become very much homozygous. So this is very much an interesting phenomenon. And then each F2 plant is represented till F6 or F7 generation. So since all the plants till the F7 generation is being raised from F2, that is the starting seed, that is the first starting seed, the presentation is almost being similar or identical. And in this method, there are chances for reduction in population size due to pest, disease, or poor germination as well. And then rapid generation advancement can be also made with the use of glass house or a off-season nursery. So these points are irrelevant, but you should know what is this method actually. So all the plants are being raised from the single seed of F2. So guys, we know that the main disadvantage that bulk method poses is that it is very prolonged, and it takes nearly yeah, some 20 to 30 years to develop a single variety. Okay, so we'll just see how the modified bulk method actually works. We'll just go from the bottom. You see, in the F6 generation, preliminary yield trial is being conducted, and in the subsequent generation, regular trials are conducted, and the best variety is released. Okay, just see the time limit. Okay, from 14 it is being reduced to 6. So this is what actually modified bulk method is all about, reducing the time by reducing the generation. Okay, so what happens in F2 and F3 selection? um, so selection is taken place in F2 and F3 generation, and the harvest is being done in F4, and the progeny rows and the best progenies are selected in F5. Okay, so just compare it with the main bulk method. You could see the lot of differences between these two methods. Okay, so the main merits are, it gives an opportunity for the breeder to exercise skill and judgment, and also there maintenance of the pedigree record is also not there, so you don't need to maintain a pedigree record as well. And that puts the end to the topic. Thank you for the support. Do subscribe the channel, and do like, do comment, and do give your valuable feedback, because all your feedbacks are what makes this channel and what makes me motivated. Okay, so thanks for it. Okay, so see you in the next lesson. Goodbye.